Good afternoon, students. After lunch today, I would like for you to continue working on your informative speech script. Now, on the Google Classroom, you can see that at the top, you've already completed your vocabulary practice exercises before lunch. Now, if you scroll down beneath that, you'll see your informative speech script. I want you to open that up so that you can work on that today. Today, your objective is to complete the body paragraphs, and some of you are very close to doing that. So after you complete the body paragraphs and put in the transition sentences, I want you to work on the conclusion. Now, don't go back and try to work on the introduction, the steps for the attention grabber, and your ethos and audience application. Those are all things I'll go over with you in Wednesday's class after your vocabulary exam, which is also Wednesday. So today, finish the body paragraphs and work on the conclusions. All right, so if you were to click on the all parts of a speech right over here and scroll all the way down to the bottom, the last two slides cover, or the last three slides rather, talk about how I want you to wrap up your presentation. So to conclude your speech, there are two parts. You will review your agenda. You'll go over the body paragraph information with a brief summary. So as you can see on my slide here, when you review your points, make it a colorful summary of your points. You only need to show us the bullet points, but your script should have a colorful summary. And what I mean on that is that I want you to provide an example of some details that you had mentioned earlier in the presentation. By way of an example, I'll have us take a look at Mackenzie Moore's speech script. And we've taken a look at Mackenzie's presentation for some other reasons, but when she got down to her review of points, she took a look at summarizing the key points from her presentation. And she says, as you can see here, today we talked about the generous and caring woman who not only created the Special Olympics, but transformed the lives of many people, both young and old. How the very first Special Olympics Games came to be in the backyard of Shriver's home, and how the program has blossomed from there on out into a wonderful opportunity for millions of people today. While this is just one very long, mostly run-on sentence, she's presenting this to the class, and it sounds very good because in her first paragraph, she introduced us to Eunice Kennedy Shriver and told us about how she was a caring woman who was the first person to create the Special Olympics. She then told us about the very first Special Olympics, which were in fact held in her very own backyard, and how it was meant to be a transformative experience. And then in her third body paragraph, she discussed how the program has blossomed and now includes so many millions of Special Olympians. So instead of just saying, today we talked about how it was created, where it took place, and who's involved, she gave us a colorful recap, a colorful summary of her points. So that's what I want you to do when you get to that section of your script, where you review what you talked about, but with a key detail from each paragraph as part of that summary. After that, you'll have a concluding statement. You will not just end with your review with points. You will not simply end by saying, thank you. I need you to have a good plan for it. And there are a couple ways for you to consider concluding your speech presentation. You could tie it back to some key information from your speech. You could tell us a little bit about how it is important to the audience right now. Maybe make it more meaningful to us. If you had included a quotation from somebody earlier in your presentation, you could tell us that quotation again, but now we would have a greater understanding of really what that means. But let me show you a couple examples of how your classmates did it. Back to Mackenzie. As part of her presentation, she showed a very short video clip from BBC News that interviewed one of the very first Special Olympians. And after that very short video clip, which was very emotional, she concludes with a very important fact that talks about sort of the general importance of the Special Olympics, but also the very specific importance it had to the person that was interviewed in that video clip. So she shows the video clip, and after that she says, because of Eunice Kennedy Shriver, now 4.5 million athletes from 170 countries around the world can share the same feeling that Frank felt at the very first Special Olympics. She should probably close that with a then, thank you, as she takes her seat. So that's how Mackenzie goes about closing her presentation. Now, not everybody closes with a video clip and her own words. Some people just choose their own words. Ron, for example, in his closing statements talking about the great musician Louis Armstrong, says, I think Louis Armstrong was a very important man because he helped shape America into what it is today. He helped by intervening in the racial discrimination. He helped shape the jazz music that we have today. But I believe that Armstrong's most valuable accomplishment was showing us how hard work really pays off. All right, Louis Armstrong started off with nothing and was still able to become a professional trumpet player and singer. Armstrong has taught me perseverance, and that if one can work hard enough, the results will be very rewarding. I hope that you all have learned much from the life of Satchmo. So Ron takes the content of his presentation and teaches us a lesson about it. So his closing statements become very personal, but then they also find a way to connect to the audience. So your closing statements should find a way to be memorable. It should let us understand the importance of the topic that you are discussing. It should not be simple like, well, that's it, or I'm done. You should make it seem as though it was an important presentation. So that is what I would like for you to work on today during your speech presentation script writing. You will finish the body paragraphs, and then you will write your review with a colorful summary of your main points, and then add a concluding statement. That should mean that next class, as a group, we can all come together. I can instruct you on how to put together the pieces of your introduction, and your script will be finished. So those are your tasks for today.